Welcome everybody to the PodAskew Podcast. I am CJ, and with me, as always, is my hetero life mate Rico. What's up, man?
What's up, dude?
Chilling, man. How you doing?
I mean, like I've said it before. May can kiss my ass. Like May sucked. So I'm looking forward to it no longer being May, and I think it was a rough month, but now I'm doing better.
Well, it's technically June, so I think we're doing all right. But we got a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. So I wanted to talk about something that you said last episode when we were talking with Henry about Robert Pattinson playing Batman. And you had mentioned, we were talking about different villains that we wanted them to do, and you had mentioned about them wanting them to do Hush, I believe, is the villain's name. What I hadn't known at the time, and they have since announced, comes out on August 13th, they did an animated version, and it's called Batman Hush that's coming out.
Right.
So I pre-ordered my copy this morning because I want to see this now. Plus, most of those Batman animated ones are good, except apparently the one against the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is bad. I haven't seen it yet, but I've trusted people who have seen it, and they're all telling me it's not good.
I've seen clips of it. I've heard that the consensus is that it's meh, it's okay. But really the best part of it is there is a fight between Batman and Shredder. Remember the villain, Master Shredder? Or whatever the fuck?
Yeah, Shredder, you're right.
And because I saw a clip of that, and there's a part where, how well do you remember the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie?
Okay, so... And I was going to bring this up anyway, so it's funny you say that. I've been sick for like a week now. I missed most of last week of work. And when I get sick, I try to find comfort stuff to watch. So like old episodes of House, How I Met Your Mother, but also comfort movies. And I watched the first two Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies this past week, like on Tuesday. So
I'm talking like the old school ones.
Yeah, the 89 and 91. Yeah.
Right. So the when they did the fight between Shredder and Batman, they recreated the slow-mo land where Shredder lands on the roof.
Yep. Yeah.
And I was like, that's fucking deep cuts awesome. And the fight was amazing. Where you're like, both these guys are like, who the fuck is gonna, like, they've never gone against someone who can actually go toe-to-toe with them. So I thought that was interesting. I'll see the movie if and when I ever get a chance to see it, but I was always kind of like, nah, Batman and Ninja Turtles should not really be together. I don't know why.
I kind of agree, and I'll tell you who saw it, because I don't think he would care me saying it, but it was Chris from Faces and Aces, and he was like, I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I love Batman, but this was not a good combination. And then he was telling me that it was, oh, God, who was doing Batman, he said? It's not O'Mara. It's the other guy who's doing him a lot lately.
Bruce Greenwood?
No, he wanted it to be Bruce Greenwood, but it wasn't. It's the other...
Rino Romano?
No, I'll have to look it up. Hold on. But he said it was the guy who was doing it, it was doing his best Batman, Kevin Conroy impression, and it was bad.
Oh, is it the guy who voiced Batman in Batman Origins? Like he did a younger version of Conroy?
He might have. I don't remember. When I see the name, I'll recognize it because I know the guy's name. I'm just blanking. Troy Baker.
Troy Baker? Joker?
He did the Batman. He's done Batman before, but he did Batman in this particular movie as well.
I think he did Batman in, like, he did Lego Batman.
No, that's Will Arnett, I think.
No, not the Lego Batman movie, the video game Lego Batman.
Oh, maybe. He's also done it in a couple of the other animated movies that I've seen, like one of the Justice League ones. I think he did it.
Troy Baker did a really good young Hamill Joker. Like his is very good. I mean, it's not Hamill's is the epitome of the Joker. We've said that in nauseam numerous times, but like for a younger version of that interpretation, Troy Baker does a phenomenal job. But for him as Batman, I mean, he's a voice actor first and foremost. He's not just Joker.
Right.
I mean, I from what I've heard, it didn't sound bad. I'll have to listen to it again. Look, in terms of animated Batman movies, I still think The Killing Joke was one of the biggest disappointments I've ever had.
You've said that, yeah. And actually got he and I talking about real quickly the Dark Knight Returns, because I'm not a fan of, I think it's Peter Weller.
Yeah.
Is that his name? Yeah. I'm not a fan of his Batman.
Robobat?
Yeah, like, I'm not a fan of his Batman, and he actually brought up a good point that he didn't like Emerson as Joker, which I also agree with.
I didn't like Emerson as Joker, but I liked his method of what he did.
Yeah.
You know, he basing it on Paul Lynde, I thought was pretty good.
I think that's what Chris didn't like about it, but I don't want to speak for him, so maybe we'll have to have him on to talk about another time. But
sure. Originally.
What's that?
Your point that you were originally going to say.
Yes, my point originally. So, like, I was also watching not IMDb. I was watching Screen Junkies and Movie Fights, which, for those of you who may not pay attention as closely as I do, Movie Fights is going away.
Really?
Yeah, not completely, but it's not going to be a weekly thing anymore. So what they're going to do is they're doing this, like, month-long tournament, and then after this month is over, and when I say month-long, it's only 4 episodes. And when this month of June is over, they're only going to do movie fights when there's, like, a need. So, like, special events or some category they want to talk about, but it won't be a weekly thing anymore.
They're making room for us to do Cinema Wars.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So...
Cinema Wars.
Cinema Wars. So one of the questions on the first round of this tournament was... Now that the Penguin is going to be the villain, so apparently Penguin's going to be the primary villain. I know you had mentioned last week when we talked with Henry there might be up to 6 total in the movie, but I think that the primary villain, the way they were talking about it, is going to be the Penguin.
I heard it's going to be Penguin and or Catwoman. I think they're going to have equal... It's going to be Batman Returns, just newer generation.
Right. Well, the way they were talking about it, and I'm not here to debate whether you're right or they're right, is that the Penguin is, and that's the point of me bringing this up. So they asked the question, who should play Oswald Cobblepot? They didn't name the Penguin. They said who should play Oswald, and
right.
All 3 choices were really interesting. So much so that I really wanted your feedback on them. So I'm going to tell you what the 3 choices were, and then we can talk about it.
Give them to me one at a time. I'll give you the feedback for each one.
Okay. I'm going to go with my least favorite to my favorite then.
Sure.
So it's not necessarily the order they did them in. The first one, and I like this because even though it's my least favorite, I like where they're going with this, right? Because it's definitely a twist on the character. And it's an actor named Brian Tyree Henry.
Oh, is he from Walking Dead?
I have his IMDb up. Let me look and see if he's on there. I don't think so. He is in Spider-Verse, though. And he's going to be in Child's Play, the new one.
He plays the cop in the new Child's Play.
Yes, Mike Norris.
Okay, so he's a not heavyset, but he's a big black guy. Is what I'm trying.
Yeah, he's a younger African American actor, and from what I hear, he's got pretty good range. Now, I'm not familiar with him too well, although he was on Boardwalk Empire recording this, and I did watch that show. So, anyway, I like the fact that the person who said him was going with a race twist. Instead of having it be a white guy, they went with the African American, and I think that's a pretty interesting take on it. I wouldn't be against that. I don't think.
How tall is he? See, look, I don't care if he's man or woman, black or white, Asian, whatever. The most important thing for me personally for the Penguin is he needs to be at least short,
6'2".
if not a little. Yeah, that's too tall.
You're gonna hate the one I like. Then I'm telling you right now, you're gonna hate.
You have to remember he's called the Penguin for a very specific reason.
Yeah, but Robin Lord Taylor, as I mentioned last week, is not that tall. I mean, not that short either.
How tall is he?
I think he's shorter than this guy, but I don't think he's like.
But he looks diminutive. He looks, he looks. Also, Robin Lord Taylor did such a interesting interpretation of the character that you're kind of like, yeah. This is. You also have to look at this is a younger version of Joker. Maybe he just didn't pack on the weight.
Well, right. And that's one of the things they were talking about was it being a younger Joker. Well, two of them were. The third one, not so much. But I'll get to that in a minute. But he had a good argument, and I'll tell you what that was. But the second one, I'm trying to get Robin Lord Taylor's height. I have him here, but it's not showing me his height.
I would guess he's 5'8". That's just my ballpark guess.
No, 5'6", but you're close. You're close. Yeah, so he's my height.
5'6", 5'7". Basically my height.
Right.
That's the maximum. That's the maximum of what the Penguin should be, in my opinion. Who's the next one?
The next one was Jason Schwartzman.
I could see that over what's his name? Brian Tyler
Henry.
Yeah, I could see him over that. I've never particularly loved Schwartzman as an actor. I respect the fuck out of his family, but I think it was because Schwartzman was in a lot of what was it, Wes Anderson or Paul Thomas? I can never remember the guy who did Rushmore and Royal Tenenbaums. I was never a big fan of his indie, quirky, weird comedies.
Okay.
So I don't know. I just don't know enough of Schwartzman as an actor. He just comes off. I would think of him as a better Riddler or even like just not really Penguin. I just don't see it as Penguin.
Yeah, I only put it second because as much as I like the idea of the twisting the race thing, I don't know how well it would work. You know, I like the idea, but I don't know that it would work. Then there's the third one. This one's my personal favorite, and the argument for it is why I like it. So this is the one we might need to deep dive on a little bit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kenneth Branagh.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear this argument. I'm intrigued by it, but let me hear it.
Well, do you want to hear it from me, or do you want to hear it from the guy who presented it?
I want to hear from you.
Okay. So the argument for Kenneth Branagh was that, to your height thing real quick, he's 5'9.5", so slightly taller than you'd like, but not, like, ridiculous.
He has to be shorter than Batman. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I don't know how tall. I can look up how tall Pattinson is, but
I'm going to guess he's 5'11" at the most.
So while I'm looking that up, though, I'll tell you. So the argument was that and keep in mind, all three people spoke very highly of Danny DeVito's portrayal. Like, they all thought it was good. But if they're going to do something different, which they probably are, they're not going to do the egg-shaped flipper guy. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to do something a little bit different. Was that for him, Kenneth Branagh specifically, Oswald comes from money. Like, that's something that wasn't really pushed as much, especially in the cinematic version, the Tim Burton one. Like, you knew his family was rich, but they threw him down the drain, basically, and he himself didn't come from money. Right?
You're right. Okay, yeah. His family were just another Wayne, but they, instead of having the kid, they just chucked the kid.
Right. The point was he wasn't raised in the money like Oswald, the character, usually is.
Right.
Right. So, the logic was, if you're going to do a new Batman, a young Batman who, while the Waynes are old money, quote unquote, Bruce himself is new to this money. So because he's coming into the age where he would collect and start kind of being in control of the Wayne Empire around the time he becomes Batman, right?
Right.
So to have him going against not only Penguin, but also against Oswald Cobblepot as Bruce Wayne, like having like this dual dynamic fight between both Batman and Penguin and Oswald and Bruce. And so you have the old established like head of this mob boss, because that's essentially what the Penguin is. And so that's why Kenneth Branagh is someone's a little bit older who can have that gravitas for Bruce to go up against.
I could see that. I think Ken Branagh would be a more interesting choice. I'm just trying to imagine what he would look like under some form of makeup with like a slightly elongated nose. I'm not saying they do the flipper hand things, but like, maybe I'm more interested in what your characterization is. That maybe he was an adversary of Thomas Wayne,
and as such becomes an adversary of Bruce. Yeah.
Oh, they both are like Penguin is the anti-Wayne. He's but here one of my favorite characterizations and interpretations of Penguin is from the Batman Arkham games.
Yes, I agree. That's a great characterization of him.
For me, is one of the best ones because you know who I would cast.
Well, you gave some ideas last time, but who are you going to say today?
I would think Ray Winstone, who does a very guttural, kind of quick-paced Cockney accent, kind of like the Penguin in the Arkham games.
Okay.
Which were done. The voice was done brilliantly by Nolan North, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah.
And I know I'm sort of negating my height thing, but I could almost see Russell Crowe doing a really good Penguin because Penguin is always just a short, fat guy, right?
Right.
And Russell Crowe's got some height, but Russell Crowe packed on a lot of weight recently.
Yeah, but we also already have him playing you, so I don't know if we can have him play you and Penguin in the same year. That's all hard.
Okay, ha ha.
No, we said that last time.
Yeah, well, he hasn't returned our phone calls.
That's true. Just to your height thing real quick, Pattinson 6'1". So he'd have the height you're looking for, I think, against Penguin.
Sure. And it depends on how tall Russell Crowe is, but I'm saying Russell Crowe did a segment in The Mummy, the Tom Cruise Mummy one.
Right.
Where
you mentioned that.
I mentioned that, and he does a very Ray Winstone kind of performance. And that's what I'm looking for. I want a Cockney, gangster who also is likable, but not so likable that he's more likable than Bruce Wayne, but likable enough where people still buy or go into his product. Like if he ran for mayor, he'd still get some votes. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's the person who chose Kenneth Branagh gave the argument that if you're gonna do the reason you can go with Kenneth Branagh is because he knows how to do that like sophisticated, because he's got a big Shakespearean background, but he also played Loveless in Wild Wild West, so you get that over the top crazy. You can get a mixture of that along with the Shakespearean, and then you get your perfect Penguin. The more you talk about, the more I'm into it. Plus he could play a foppish character really well. Like he played Gilderoy Lockhart in Harry Potter. That was his other example about why you could use him. Yeah, that was another reason he used. So,
I think I'm just more concerned how he's going to look. Like I think, but also. I want my own personal, how I would have the Penguin be done. As long as it's something close to that. I just don't want him too serious. I want him to be having a little bit of a cackly kind of, chuckling fun. Not the Joker, but like kind of like always a smirk on his face or something like that.
See, that's the interesting thing about the Kenneth Branagh one. That's why I keep going back to it, is because what you get with the way he laid this out is you get that cackly one when he's Penguin, and when he's got to be in public and be a little more Oswald, you get that more reserved and laid back, much like you do with Bruce Wayne versus Batman. It's, what I mean? I would really be intrigued to see that. I'm actually very much on board. Now, I don't know if they'll do it, but that's, where I would go with it.
I would say if it was Ken Branagh, Ray Winstone, or Russell Crowe, I'd be fine with all three of those. If they played it like that, I'm of the opinion that he's got to be British. He's got to be Cockney. He's got to have like old money from London and his family immigrated to Gotham. That's
And to be fair, Brenda's from Wales, so it's not Cockney England, but you're still from the islands, you're still from the United Kingdom, so. Russell Crowe, by the way, is 5'11 and a half, so you're getting closer on your height thing, but he still would be shorter than Batman.
Yeah, but I one thing we haven't seen is Penguin punch Batman.
Well, that's one of the things they were talking about during the fight. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. That was the third round of the fight, and I'm not through yet. I had to stop so we could record, and I'm not complaining, but I haven't finished seeing the arguments. But the one argument that I agree with is that's not what the Penguin is. Like, the Penguin's not, yes, in the 60s Batman that happened, but as a whole, Penguin's always sent his people. He's not the Joker who's going to go blow to blow with Batman. That's not what Penguin does. Do you know?
Well, he is a fighter in various animated movies and shows.
But not to the extent of like a Joker or even a Ra's al Ghul. You know what I mean?
No, he is. Like, he uses his umbrella as a sword. And there was one point where he was trying to like sword fight with. It was the original animated series, and I think Batman, like Kevin Conroy's Batman, had found like he was just looking for anything, found a long screwdriver and used that as a way of deflecting the umbrella sword. But also there was one, I don't remember, I think it was the Batman, and like the Penguin was like almost like a sumo wrestler type of character. It was actually like because he used his weight as a weapon. Now, I'm not saying do that, but I'm saying it'd be interesting to see, Ken Branagh or whoever, Ray Winstone, shock Batman because he's he's just a fat guy, a short fat guy. How imposing of a villain is this going to be? Batman already took down his minions and his henchmen. I was like, all right, I'm taking you to jail now. And then Penguin just punches him in the face. And I'd be like, that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you about the Arkham Penguin in terms of like it being a great representation of the character. I agree with you there.
So with the bottle model, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, but I will tell you that, and I think you and I differ very much on this, and I go back to this again, but Robin Lord Taylor's depiction of him in Gotham has changed my perspective of what he physically has to look like. Like, I still think you have to do a little bit with the nose or whatever, and with no disrespect to Robin, I think that's his natural nose. Like, I think he's got that sharp, pointy nose. But, I think you do have to have, like, some of that facial type feature, but as a whole, like, I don't need him to be short or fat at this point. Like, I don't need him to be, like, in shape and a physical equal to Batman. I'm not saying that, but, Kenneth Branagh's an average-looking dude. You know what I mean? Who you would think maybe had some fencing lessons or something. And that's why he can use the umbrella as a weapon, or whatever. But I listen, I'm on board for this. I love the idea. I don't think they'll do it. I think they're going to try to go young across the board, personally. Or young and or unknown across the board.
So if I predict anything, it's going to be Josh Gad. That's what I think.
You said Gad last week, and you also said the guy from the Fantastic Beast movies, and I can't remember his name right now.
Dan Fogel or something?
Something like that, yeah. And neither of those are bad choices. Like, don't get me wrong. Neither of them are bad choices. But if they were going to go different and follow... And it was Dan Merrill who said this. He's the one to pick Kenneth Branagh. And if they're going to follow Dan's move, I'm on board. I got to be honest with you. I'm on board. I would be excited to see that. I'd be excited about this Batman movie because right now I'm not. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I'll probably see it, but I'm not excited about it,
They'd have to really announce some crazy good cast members where you're like, oh shit, that's going to be good.
And
like whoever plays Catwoman or who are the other 17 other fucking villains that are going to be in this movie.
Yeah, I mean,
the other one that really needs to be awesome is whoever plays Alfred.
Yeah, if they're gonna reprise anybody, that's when you keep Jeremy Irons.
I agree, but if they're gonna go different and keep going different, what if you had Bill Nighy? We talked about him a lot for last episode or last couple episodes. I could see him in a tux and maybe doing a similar interpretation of Jeremy Irons. I loved Irons' his Alfred. He was just world weary. But this is a different Batman, where it's Batman at like the age of 30. So he's only been doing it for about 5 to 10 years. You know, this is still an upbeat, personal, maybe a little weary Alfred. So,
yeah, I agree with you. Really quick, Rico, because like I'm looking at the chat room for Movie Fight now. Obviously, it's not active, but they keep the chat available for you to read. And I don't normally look at it, but I happen to have it up because I was getting that Brian Tyree Hill's name because I couldn't remember his name. No disrespect to him, but it's not a name I'm not as familiar with. And there's some interesting names in here. Ray Winstone, by the way, came up a couple times, so you're not alone in the Ray Winstone choice.
And I guarantee it's because of the Arkham game, because it sounds very similar.
Probably. A lot of people also are recommending not having Schwartzman as Penguin, but maybe as the Riddler, which could be a good one. The one that it jumped out at me that I just saw, Christoph Waltz as Penguin. I could see that. I mean, if you're okay with him not being fat, like the husky, I could see that.
He is a phenomenal actor, but he is also pigeonholed for. He kind of. I mean, I haven't seen enough. I've seen a lot of his movies, but he always kind of plays that one type of role that he does, which is even he could be unnaturally polite, still be terrifying, but like I could see it. I think that you'd have to change the origin. You'd have to establish that Cobblepot is German or Austrian. I don't think Waltz could convincingly do a Cockney British accent.
I'd be okay with that, though. If you've seen, I know you're not a big fan of the movie, but in Spectre, he does a really good Blofeld. I imagine it would be similar to that character. Maybe not exact, but it would be very similar to the way he did Blofeld.
I liked his interpretation of Blofeld, but I thought it was drastically underused. You know, if they just changed the name to Kubopot or Cobblepot or something like they did in Gotham, where it was like the original origin, the original name of Cobblepot was Kubopot or something, whatever the fuck.
I don't even think they really messed with that too much, but anyway.
They did, because what's her fuck? The woman who plays Penguin's mom is like German immigrant.
Right.
It's like Mrs. Cobblepot, Mrs. Kugelpot, and you're like, oh, okay, Mrs. Cobblepoot or whatever the fuck.
Right.
You know, Frankenstein.
Real quick, because you know there's going to be people that are going to be shitty in these things as well.
Yeah.
Someone said Emma Thompson.
You know, if they're going to go crazy and just say fuck it with casting, Emma Thompson's a phenomenal actress. I think they were saying it to be kind of shitty and make it a woman, that kind of thing. That's the vibe that I got from it. A couple other names in here. Bruce Willis was one. Fuck no.
Yeah. Your suggestion of Josh Gad is also on here?
Well, that's not my suggestion. I think it's where it's going to go.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, that's,
they're going to play it safe, man.
Here's a last couple, and then I think we should just move on. But Paul Giamatti?
Yes, I think I tried saying that last time. I think I was trying to, like,
I think you did.
Him.
Yep. Jonah Hill.
No.
Stephen Graham.
Maybe.
Not familiar with him.
Stephen Graham was, he was in Pirates 4 and 5. He played the character Scrum, and he was also in the movie Public Enemies with Johnny Depp, where I think he played Al Capone or something.
Who is Scrum?
So, you know how in 4 and 5 they just sort of deviate from the other characters, like there was no Pinto and Brigetti Pirates, there was no... He was the new sidekick pirate character that wasn't Gibbs.
Is that the guy who wanted to be captain, but then when he found out if he was captain, he was going to get, like, sliced open or something, and he didn't want to be captain anymore or whatever? I think I know who you're talking about.
I think they punched the shit out of him, and then, like, they ripped out his toenail to pick a lock or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, he was the guy who's like, by God, I'm gonna kiss me a mermaid, and then like he goes his head like deep in the water, and then like, yeah. So that
okay.
He's a good actor, and he fits that build, that mold of what I'm talking about. He's average height. He's kind of chubby. He's got the Cockney British accent, and he can play giddy and excitement and kind of obnoxious really well because his Al Capone, I think he played Al Capone in Public Enemies, is like annoying in a villain kind of sense, just kind of like in your face, like, come on, Kappas, you're gonna come get me, like just spraying bullets everywhere and talking shit. So I could see that for Penguin, actually.
Okay, well, there's a couple more real quick, and then we're gonna, like I said, I just lost it. Son of a bitch.
It'd be interesting as Ricky Gervais.
That'd be interesting. All right, but Nick Frost, not familiar with him.
Nick Frost is the heavyset guy from the Shaun of the Dead, Simon Pegg movies.
Never saw him.
You saw Hot Fuzz, yeah?
Once, like so long ago, I couldn't even remember who it is.
Did you ever see Paul?
What?
Paul?
No.
Oh man, there's a lot of movies you gotta see with Nick Frost. Nick Frost is good.
Okay. Timothy Spall?
Actually, yeah. That'd be interesting. He's the guy who played Wormtail in the Harry Potter movies. The guy, the rat that is a human dude. So he looks like a rat, unfortunately. But
I know this guy. I know him from Rockstar. He's in Rockstar.
Okay. He's also in Sweeney Todd. I mean, he does sniveling villain characters really well.
He does. Yep.
And he would go with that older generation thing. Like, I would see him over Ken Branagh personally.
No,
because he's still
Branagh carries the money better. Personally, that's my opinion. But
I don't know, man. You put Timothy Spall in a really dapper suit, you could probably get away with it.
3 more and then I'm done. I promise. Zach Galifianakis. If he takes it seriously, no. Okay.
I'm not a fan of Zach Galifianakis, and I thought his Joker was awful because he voiced the Joker in the Lego Batman movie.
I wasn't a fan of that, so I didn't watch it.
Zach Galifianakis always sounds like he's battling a cold.
Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt played the Joker in a spoof little short. There's this comedian, I can't remember who he is, but he does really good, exaggerated impression of Christian Bale's Batman.
Okay.
Where he talks like this, like he does that Batman.
Right.
And they've done all these shorts where they just kind of show this Batman as kind of a dirty-minded buffoon, and how they did one segment with Patton Oswalt as the Penguin that's really fucking funny, where Batman doesn't understand the concept of death. Like, he thinks when he throws a batarang at someone and it pierces them in the face, that they're just sleeping because Batman doesn't kill. And Penguin and Commissioner Gordon like, dude, you totally just killed the guy. Like, no, that's not what happened. I don't kill people. People don't die. You just sleep. And they're like, okay, what happened to your parents? My parents are asleep. They've just been asleep for 30 years or 20 years. And like, it's Patton Oswalt being very straightforward Patton Oswalt, because he does the Penguin like, oh, Batman. And then when he kind of breaks free, he's like, oh, yeah, you totally killed that guy. What are you talking about? It's fucking funny, dude. Like, God, what the hell is his name? He did a whole episode where, there's not an episode, but there's segments where he recreated The Dark Knight Rises, where he's he's fucking up Bane, and he says, where's the trigger? And then Talia al Ghul reveals herself as the citizen of Gotham who has the trigger.
Right.
And he starts making dirty jokes saying, but we totally had sex. And she's like, yes, but that doesn't matter.
I've heard this. I've heard that. I know what you're talking about.
It's so fucking funny. He's like, but like, I filled in every hole. Like, in a way that you would be very surprised from, like, vag, ass, mouth. And then like Bane's like, oh, come on, man, be cool.
The last name I'm seeing on here, and I honestly really don't know how I feel about it. Part of me thinks it'd be interesting, but I ultimately don't think I'd want it. Peter Dinklage.
I mean, it's definitely going with the height factor I'm talking about.
Right. And he certainly can play an evil fuck. I mean, he's got that bad guy side to him. And he can also have that prestige that I was talking about with Kenneth Branagh. I mean, you definitely can get that from Dinklage. You know, when he was not Trask, but
He was Trask.
No, he was he Trask?
In Days of Future Past?
Yeah. Okay, I got him and Stryker confused in my brain for a minute. My bad. Regardless, when he played, like he can play the rich guy, but
he can play the rich guy just based on Tyrion in Game of Thrones because his character comes from that old money mentality. So you know what? I'm just Peter Dinklage. That's who wins.
No, see, I'm still Brenna or at this point Waltz. That's where I'm at.
Well, if Dinklage gets cast, I would not be bitchy. You know, yeah, I'm thinking Dinklage. That's a pretty good fucking bet. He could do the British accent that I want. He's got the height. And honestly, I've always kind of imagined Peter Dinklage could be a very interesting Bond villain.
I think he'd be better there than Penguin. I agree.
I think anybody, I mean, if you're going Bond villains, you can also use Batman villains.
Yeah, but you earlier talked about the fight you wanted with Batman and Penguin, and I think that wouldn't go well.
That would not go well in Dinklage's favor, but
not even that. I think visually it would look bad.
You haven't seen any of Game of Thrones, but like he is a scrappy little fuck where he's killed people on Game of Thrones in like a fucking fight. He knows the odds are against him, but he still has somehow managed to like he has knocked someone down when they're least expecting him. So he would be the kind of villain who would like run around and hide in shadows and then sneak up on Batman and like hit him from behind, knock him down, and then like slash him with a sword or a umbrella sword, and then scamper away. Batman's trying to he would have to drug Batman. I'm saying it's possible.
I don't know.
He uses intelligence to maybe blow dart Batman, so Batman's all disoriented, and then periodically, like an oversized Chucky doll, he just runs around, and starts slashing him with a sword, and then runs away as Batman's trying to fucking regroup. I could see that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not a fan. That's not anything against Peter Dinklage because I actually do like him as an actor, but I just don't see it there.
Dude, he fucked Will Ferrell in Elf.
I'm just saying. But from one money grab to another money grab, you saw Aladdin, and I'd love to hear your thought on it. Like I said, money grab.
Yeah, I saw Aladdin. Well, what do you want to know?
No, personally, can I be honest with you, Rico? I don't give a shit because I know it's a money grab. I think it's a money grab. I don't really want anything to do with it because I think it's stupid. But it's also stuff that we cover on this show, and I feel like we should talk about it. So personally, there's nothing that I care about.
Well, it was just disappointing. But here's the thing. There where you wanted them to shine based on the original animated one, they did not shine. Where you didn't expect them to shine, they did a very good job. Perfect example, the sequence for the song "Friend Like Me," you ain't never had a friend like me, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Awful interpretation. It was very much. I mean, I kept going into this trying to have an open mind, really just this is for the next generation. This is not for me. I already had mine. Blah 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 blah. I'm trying to go into that thing that Chris I think said, I had my Aladdin. Let's have the next generation have their Aladdin. And the next generation I think sucks because because this sucked. And like Friend Like Me was just very much if Will Smith was the Fresh Prince of Agrabah, just kind of doing his Fresh Prince persona as the genie. And some of it worked, some of it didn't. When he was blue, it looked awful. When he was not the blue genie and sort of in human form, it was amazing. It was stand out, and it was real acting on Will Smith's part. The Friend Like Me sequence was just really just not very good, and they modernized a lot of current shit like the dab and all that crap, and it just looked hokey. Whereas on the other hand, I actually started kind of welling up a little bit when they're doing the whole Prince Ali segment, like where they do the parade. That was really good. I found myself getting emotional. I'm like, this is pretty good. So where you don't expect them to shine, they fucking shine. Where you really want them, like a whole new world should be a part that just wows the fuck out of you. And I barely have any recollection. Like, it was just boring. It was just meh.
I heard they gave Jasmine a song that she didn't have in the original movie.
They gave her a song, and look, I'm of the opinion, if you're going to do a remake, don't add new songs. However, the song was fine. The sequence was jarring because and her song was very much, fuck the hierarchy. I am my father's daughter. I should be sultan. It's very much a woman empowered feminist song. And I love that type of shit. And, I'm all for it. But the way that it was filmed was super jarring because she's singing normally. Everyone else is slow-mo or frozen. So it's like all in her head. And they're not like frozen like something happened to them. It's just the way Guy Ritchie stylized it.
Right.
I think it would have been a better song in another scene.
I don't know if this is true. And I usually try to do a little bit of research before we do our show when I know we're going to talk about stuff. But like I mentioned earlier, I was sick, so it's kind of a miracle I'm sitting here right now.
Right.
But from what I understand, Jasmine was the only princess in the Disney Princess collection, for lack of a better phrase, who didn't have a song, like have their own song. Like all the other princesses had a song. So much so that they've made fun of that, or not made fun of it, but kind of referenced it in Ralph Breaks the Internet about how Vanellope needed a song.
Right.
And because they say a whole new world, while part Jasmine, it was also Aladdin. Right. She didn't have her own solo princess song, and that was part of the logic of this. Again, maybe the wrong scene, but the logic for the song existing as a whole.
And honestly, I never thought of it like that because you assume that Jasmine would have her own not silent, but her own personal song. Like, I never thought of it like that. And like I said, I have no problem with the song they wrote, and the actress who sang the song did a very good job. And easily she was one of the highlights of this remake. She was really, really good. I just thought how they structured her little song was weird. And I would have said, oh, who should direct Aladdin is Guy Ritchie. The guy did, Snatch or Sherlock Holmes or Rock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Not the director I would have ever picked. And I love the director. I'm just like, he has the kind of kinetic energy that I'm fine with, but he also did a lot of random slow-mo, weird scenes. And there were parts where the music flowed really ass backwards. And I got to be really critical about the guy who played Aladdin. Granted, 99% of the cast were of, not white origin. There were a lot of Indian actors. There were a lot of mixed Persian actors. There were a lot of that.
And that's the one thing I was going to bring up, that I was going to say, like, I've said this is a money grab, and I'm not a fan of that, but I will say that the one thing I thought was good about it was that they correctly cast, with the exception of Will Smith, the actors for the various roles throughout the movie.
Well, for Will Smith, you could argue, like, well, maybe, I mean, Agrabah, we don't know where it is, but presumably it's in the Middle East. Middle East is not super far from Africa. You could assume that he's of North African origin.
Right. I'm not saying that it was way off. I'm saying, like, but everyone else is, like, spot on comparatively. That's all I'm saying. You know, it's not a shot. Listen, I like Will Smith. I'm probably one of the few people who do. I've had issues with it. There's a lot of people who don't. I'm not saying you do. You don't. But yeah, because he started doing stuff like the After Earth, I think it's called, the one with his son. And he's also come to Jane's defense quite a bit, and I think that's hurt his reputation a little bit.
I mean, he's being a father trying to defend his son. I don't blame him. I blame him for raising and giving Jaden too much freedom.
But that's not we're talking about two different things now. You're talking about Will the father versus Will the actor. You know what I mean? And that's a whole nother conversation. But,
right.
You know, I don't know. I just, for some reason, he feels out of place to me. And that's not a shot at Will. He just does feel out of, even from the bit I've seen from the trailers, he just seems out of place.
Well, he's one of the better parts of the movie, but you kind of know that or expect that going into it. Because the guy who plays Aladdin, you know, he goes from really stiff, wooden, awful acting to just meh, okay, kind of acting. He is not wowing. He's you know, for a titular character, he's not great.
See, that's what you get when you try to bring a cartoon to life. That's the problem.
No, look, I'm all for them casting brown actors. I don't mean to say it so bluntly, but
right.
I would have gone Rami Malek.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Okay.
You know?
Yeah, and Rami would have fit. Actually, you know where I see Rami? I mean, I didn't see the movie, and you did, so you tell me if I'm wrong. I could see Rami as Jafar.
Well, whoever else could play Jafar would be a million times better than the guy who currently played Jafar, because the guy who played Jafar sucked.
Did he?
Was so goddamn bad. Like, I made a joke about on the podcast many times. Bring me the lamp. Dude, I was not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, he played him so bland and didn't even emphasis on AV. His whole thing was he was tired of being second best. That was his whole motive. He's like, I don't want to be number 2 anymore. It just, and they didn't feature him become a snake. That was part of like the whole point of why Jafar was so badass and so villainous, was because at one point he's like, I'm going to become the most powerful sorcerer in the world. And then he turns into a giant cobra and has this fight with Aladdin. Didn't happen. Instead, he possesses Iago, who is voiced by Alan Tudyk, the actor Alan Tudyk.
I heard that part was actually not bad.
But he plays him. Alan Tudyk plays Iago not like Gilbert Gottfried. He portrays him as a real parrot. So he's actually does the parrot kind of voice like this. And
that's what they wanted, though. Low. Yeah, I heard that's what they wanted, though.
But at that point, just have a real fucking parrot. Like, why cast an actor to do that? It was almost like if you're in a movie where there's a genie, you can go crazy. Have a fucking Gilbert Gottfried sounding parrot. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but again, this is my problem with them taking cartoons and trying to turn them into real life movies. I don't think it's a good idea.
I think they can do some good. I would love to see a Little Mermaid. I would love to see The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I'd love to see Hercules and have fucking Danny DeVito's play the exact same fucking role they did in the movie.
But at the same time, I don't know. Like, this Lion King one annoys me. This one annoys me.
That one. Look, see, my dad, he never got into the Lion King animated movie. Even he put it on for me to watch, but he's like, I don't really give a fuck. I just never understood. I'm like, how could you not like it? It's Hamlet with animals. And he said, it is. And I explained the whole Hamlet thing to him. And then I showed him a trailer for the new, well, it's not live action, it's CGI action. And he said, all right, that actually looks pretty good. I'll see that. I'm like, you will see this? You will go to the movies and see this with me? Fuck yeah, dude.
Did you guys go?
The Lion King? No, it's not out yet.
Oh, I don't even know when it's out. Because I'm so anti the movie.
No, I was saying he doesn't turn into a snake. He possesses Iago and turns Iago into a giant winged, like, creature thing.
See, then you're not, no, because not only are you going live, but you're now changing the basic premise of the movie.
Right. It was so, why did you do that? That's so bad. And they also jammed a lot of character development in the original film into a 20-minute, 10-minute thing for a bunch of characters. So you just have to, like, in the original Disney one, you saw Jasmine feeling trapped in Agrabah and wanting to get the fuck out and sneak out of the palace and then go into the marketplace in secret, and that's how she bumps into Aladdin. And how Aladdin is trapped, just running around stealing food, just trying to fend for himself with Abu and blah, 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 blah. They do all that in the opening of 10 minutes. In the opening scene, they jam everything where you're like, well, I don't even give a fuck about these characters because they've given us a reason to give a fuck about them.
Right.
So, was it the worst movie I've ever seen of the Disney remakes? I mean, kind of, but it was also not the... I mean, I don't know, man.
Out of 5 fedoras, what are you giving it?
What was your question?
Out of 5 fedoras, what are you giving it?
5 fedoras?
Yeah.
2.5, maybe 3 at the most.
Oh,
you know what I just rewatched that sets the bar, and I didn't even realize it? The live-action remake of 101 Dalmatians that came out in like 90 fucking 4 or something.
Oh yeah, the one with
Glenn Close.
Yeah,
dude, we rewatched that. We're like, holy shit, dude! Glenn Close fucking killed it as Cruella de Vil.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of other remakes. Maleficent. And here's the thing: I would much rather see the Aladdin storyline of just Jasmine. Have a whole point of view story of just Jasmine. I would have been more into it because then you could have her whole story, her whole princess singing moment be her whole movie. Especially if you're going to fucking have this idiot, play Aladdin and Jafar. Fucking show me a whole new interpretation. Give me the Maleficent of Jasmine. That's what I would have much been more happy with that. Have Genie... Have Jasmine rub Genie's lamp, which I know sounds dirty, but
Right. I don't know. I think you have to be cautious about doing these. And like, here's the thing I'll say, and it's amazing how Jon Favreau saved or started and destroyed a universe in the same 10-year window. Because he started the Marvel Universe and basically are destroying the Disney Universe because of his success with the Jungle Book.
But I thought the Jungle Book was fine. I didn't love it, but I thought it was fine. It was a different...
But if he hadn't made that movie, then all these other ones don't happen.
That's not true. They did Maleficent.
Maleficent, I think... That's from that witch's perspective. That's a different movie. It's not a beat for beat Snow White movie.
Yeah, but I don't think it's Favreau's blame. I think Favreau got the job because he's connected to Disney through Marvel. But I think Disney was going to make live action shit anyways, man.
But I think if it hadn't done so well, they may not have, and that's, look, I'm not actually not shooting at Jon Favreau because I like Favreau and I'm sure he did a great job and I'm glad he's working because I think he's a good guy. But, as a whole, for as much praise as we give him for starting the Marvel Universe, I kind of have to go the other way for this.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, Bill Murray would never have been my choice for Baloo, but he did okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely things they could have done better.
That being said, look, will I buy it? Sure, I'll buy it for $250. I'm not going to go $25 for this DVD. I'll wait till Video Room gets it, and it's on clearance sale, and then I'll buy it.
Well, that was disappointing, but not surprising for me. That said, you had a rough day again yesterday, buddy, and we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but I know you wanted to get into some details, so why don't you do your thing, and I'll chime in if I feel like it's appropriate.
Right. First off, I don't mean to come off like a broken record, but last month I did lose my godfather, and yesterday was the memorial. And luckily Steph covered me at work, which was really nice of her, and I really appreciate that. I went and picked up my dad, and then we went to the house that it was going to be. It was a memorial. It was a celebration of life. It was also a place to grieve. It was also Alan and his wife Laurel's house that, my brother Alex was there. And a lot of people that were there, dude. It was people I knew, but a lot of people I didn't know. And some of them were Alan's patients because Alan was a doctor.
Right. You mentioned that when you told us he passed. Which, by the way, dude, just not to come off and be disrespectful, but you got that info like 36 hours before the Podiversary episode, if I recall. So
I found out the day of. It was May 4th. It was Star Wars Day.
Well, we recorded on the 5th, so you found out the day before then. Yeah. So holy hell, dude.
Yeah, I gotta pat my own back because of the fact that I held it together for the Podiversary.
You did well.
It was hard, and yesterday was not easy, and it was not easy just for the fact that it was the first time I'm at Alan's house and he's not there, or he's there but not there.
Right.
And I saw, Alan's my god brothers and sister and Laurel, his wife, who was.
How's she doing considering?
Yeah, I mean, she was grateful everyone was there, but she actually sort of directed me. Dad and I got up there early, about an hour and a half before it started. And I volunteered to help out as much as I could. And my job was to stand out front and direct all the traffic for people that were going to park because it's not like a big area.
Sure.
To go park at a church, which is literally a block away. And the church was nice enough to donate their parking lot and then people would just have to walk up. So I was directing a lot of traffic, and then I was telling the people, don't go, don't stop when you go in the house. Keep moving forward, grab a pamphlet, go outside. Don't huddle around inside and stop the flow of traffic. So I was really just, traffic control.
Yeah.
So, and I was seeing a lot of old family faces and old friends of my father and everything, so I was shaking hands, and a lot of people. So actually, I thought it was funny. I texted you this, but the audience doesn't know. People kept accidentally calling me Rocco.
Hey, yo,
Rocco. Which I was like, that's fine. And then my brother showed up. Which is
funny because you said usually that annoys you, but I guess under the circumstances.
No, I never said Rocco annoys me. I said Henry and Hank annoy me.
You said Rocco annoyed you a little bit.
No, okay. Well, if I did, I said if I'm going to have a nickname that's not my name, Rico, Rocco's actually pretty fine. I just don't like Rocky.
Oh, I think that's what you said. You're right. Yeah. I think it was my fault. Go ahead.
No disrespect to people named Rocky.
I'll say disrespect because I know one. Anyway.
Or Henry or Hank.
Yeah, Henry. Right. Henry, we love you, buddy.
Yeah. So it was a lot. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I had to try to avoid was wine. Everyone kept trying to put wine in my hand. I'm like, I have to go to work after this. I have to go back to work. First off, I have to drive my dad home. Then I have to go back to work, let Steph take a break because she was covering me.
Sure.
And then work. So I couldn't get, everyone kept pouring me a glass of wine and I would take a sip and set it down. Do a little toast for Alan and then set it down and walk away.
Glass of wine and not be the end of the world.
Well, I did have a glass, and then afterwards, everyone kept trying to give me more wine.
Right.
And I'm like, motherfucker, I'm not Ubering. Like, I'm doing shit after this.
Right.
So, little things. I mean, the things to talk about Alan that I didn't know about. Like, one thing that I thought was really fucking funny that I think you would appreciate. When he was born and raised in New York, and he loved to be an adventurer. And when he was 12 years old, he, without telling anybody, he hitchhiked from New York to Philly and back.
Nice.
And did it when he was 12 years old. His family didn't know that he had done it. They all thought he was just out playing for all fucking, day. And then he sat down for dinner and was like, Alan, what'd you do today? He's like, I went to Philly and came back. Like, that was just the type of, I mean, all of his children who are no longer children, they're adults.
Oh, sure.
All of his offspring, they were, there was a sort of this little stage in their this backyard's huge. And they had like a stage that's already been there, and they had a microphone. They would all tell little stories, and every single one of them would always say, like, randomly, Dad would just take us, and we would go hitchhiking for no reason, just to have the adventure of going hitchhiking with nothing,
right,
and just having fun. And they said, like, the first time I learned how to play catch was off the side of the freeway.
I hope they weren't following the rules of the road.
No, they were not.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
No, it's okay. It's funny actually. So my dad went up and had a couple moments of talking, and he because Dad has known Alan for 50 years.
Right, it was his best friend, wasn't it, or close friend at least?
Yeah. I mean, my dad's got other very close friends, and it's like there's two people. There's Alan, and there's like this other guy, Paul Shapiro, and
that's the Red Sox guy, right, Paul?
Yeah, that's right.
I remember. I pay attention.
Yeah. So my dad went up, and my brother and I took Dad aside and said, "All right, Dad, whatever you're gonna say, PG, not R-rated." Like,
a lot of kids.
He went up on stage and he said, "My son's just told me PG, not R-rated," and everyone's like, "R-rated, R-rated." I'm like yelling, "No, don't do it!"
Were there a lot of kids there?
What?
Were there a lot of children there?
There are not a lot, but there were enough. And
right.
Even if there were adults, it's like, no one wants to hear the R-rated version of whatever Dad's going to say.
We got to get Dad on this show. We really do. Anyway, go ahead.
So I'm on stage, and my dad starts talking about Alan, and I can see my dad kind of holding back tears, but he's still enjoying the moment of being on stage.
Sure.
My dad loves an audience.
No.
Which is ironic that he has yet to come on here. He just doesn't understand that we have an audience. I barely understand that we have an audience personally. So he goes up on stage. He starts talking about how Alan called him up and said, "Hey, Ron, do you want to go? Let's go to Rio." And Dad's like, "Oh, fuck yeah, let's go to Rio." So they just went to Rio, and Dad starts describing the beautiful, voluptuous Brazilian women, and how, like, we could only do things with our eyes. We were both, in relationships and everything, and he's saying all this, and like Laurel, Alan's wife,
right,
just like obviously not really comfortable hearing this. But then Dad I had to help Dad out because, like, these women weren't wearing bikinis. And they weren't even G-strings. They were, and he just started trailing off, trying to remember what the word. And I yelled out, "Dental floss!" And he's like, dental floss! And the whole audience thought that was funny.
Right.
I know where he's gonna go. I know.
Yeah.
I know. My dad's practices routines on me over the years, and I just know what he's gonna say. Usually, sometimes he's thrown me off. I'm like, "Oh, why would you say that?" So he talked about the trips with Alan and towards the end, and then he said, "All right, that's all." He said the one of the better things my dad said at the end was, when I last saw Alan told me something that my brother more or less told me before he died, which was, "Ron, I'll let you know if there's anything after this." He said, "I'll let you know," and Dad said, "I'm still waiting to find out. Alan, get back to me, please."
Nice.
And my dad's not a believer of afterlife and shit like that.
Sure.
It's very tongue in cheek of that, but
it's it fits.
And then Brad, who is one of Alan's sons, one of my godbrothers, who was sort of the MC of the whole thing, he came up. He's like, I remember one of these trips that you guys went to Thailand, and I remember a little addendum to the story, which is Ron showed up without anything. He had no luggage, and my dad, Alan, was like, Ron, where's your luggage? Like, who needs luggage? Fuck it, we're going to Thailand. And Ron was just ready to go with the shirt on his back to go to Thailand of all places. He's like, I got my passport, I got my wallet, let's go. So and then it was my turn to come up, and I will try and paraphrase what I said, because I know this episode is getting a little long, and I know all our listeners are.
It's one of our shorter ones.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. Well, there's still humoring me. I've talked about Alan a lot recently. I've talked about death a lot, and I don't want it to be, every episode is a dour, episode. But this is life and death. So,
well, if I could jump in for just a second, Rico, I think one of the things that I like about what we do with PodAskew is, yes, we talk about movies a lot, but we talk about how movies and how they affect life, and this is life. So this is. Part of life, unfortunately.
So, and you're right, and I think that's some reason why we do have some appreciation for our show, is that you and I, but I think both of us especially, we will. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm always very honest. You'll never look at me and be like, I wonder what emotion he's going through right now. Like, it's very obvious with me. So. When I came up on stage, I said, there is another point about this fucking trip to Thailand that you guys don't know about. And so the whole audience is like, what is happening with this trip to Thailand? Jesus Christ. And I said, my father borrowed a video camcorder that I had. Real, generic, camera. And it both video as well as snapshots. It was both a camera as well as a video camera. And I lent it to Dad for their trip to Thailand. Dad gives it back to me, and I still have the fucking thing.
Nice.
Dad gave it back to me, and he said, I couldn't figure out how to work this fucking thing. And I looked through it, and I shit you not, there were like 40 videos, and they were all of Alan and Ron posing in front of a mirror, thinking they're taking a snapshot, like a selfie.
Yeah.
But it's a video, so it's literally them posing, being silent for like 30 seconds or 10 seconds, and then being like, all right, do we get it? All right, we got it. And then just putting the camera back in their pocket, filming the entire time, or putting it back in their suitcase.
Right.
So I'm like seeing just the inside of a bag with like change and wallets and shit like that. There were 40 of those.
Nice.
And so that was one of the things. And then I went through my actual spiel about Alan. I said, I used to think Alan was indestructible because he was technically a disabled person. He had suffered 2 separate car accidents where he fucked up his hand. I told you about his hand.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was left-handed, but he actually had to learn how to write and become right-handed after he fucked up his left hand. And then the other car accident fucked up his knee, where it actually shattered his knee so much that he could never bend his knee again. You never bend his leg.
Wow.
So this was a guy who was technically disabled, who went on traveling and like would go on hikes and would climb mountains and would always like give the younger energetic athletes a run for their money. They're always like, fuck, we're worried about Alan. They're like, oh shit, Alan's ahead of us. How we got to catch up to him?
Well, don't I feel like a piece of shit now?
Right. Yeah. See, I mean, like, I'm overall healthy apart from me getting sick occasionally. And then like, I'm just fat. And I'm like, Alan is just like if we went hiking, Alan's like, come on, I'm a doctor and I'm crippled. Let's go. Hurry up. So, Alan, I talked about that, and I talked about how Alan helped fuel my slight obsession with movies. he would give me he gave me a coupon to go to a video store, not the one I work at, to go rent like 5 DVDs. And he was like telling me to go rent like movies that were way above me, like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest when I was like 9, that kind of shit.
I just want to go back and reference the slight obsession with movies. I think is not the right word.
It was slight obsession when he made it worse. Let's put it that way.
All right, so it was a slight obsession then, because now it's not. There's nothing slight about it.
It was slight obsession when I was about 3, and then he fucked it all up and made it worse.
All right.
But he also, I found this out, that he would go to the movies once a week or every other week, and he would see he would pay and see 5 or 6 movies in a day. He just did one day every other week where he would see everything that's playing. And I found that out. I'm like, fuck, dude, that sounds awesome. I'd love to hang out with Alan and just do that all day.
Yeah.
And then as it turns out, he was so restless. He would sit for about 30, 40 minutes and be like, all right, I'm ready. I'm done. And go back out, buy another ticket to a different film, go and start watching that. Like, he did that all day. Like, beginning of everyone's shift, the end of everyone's shift, he was always the first one there and the last one leaving. And he would just never sit. Very rarely would he sit and watch the whole thing. He called it elaborate. He called it extravagant channel surfing.
Interesting.
But and so I talked about that. And then I sort of, when I came home last night, I mean, yesterday was just hard. My brother, Alex, who I'm going to try and see tonight, because he just had a baby and I haven't seen her yet.
Right.
So when I saw him yesterday, I said, let's try and do something. And after the end of the night, Steph and I went and we needed some hardcore R&R sushi. So we like relaxed and had some dinner at sushi. And my brother called me and said, dude, today was hard. And I'm actually going to break up a little bit because my brother was reminding me of things that hadn't hit me, which was, dude, we learned how to swim in that pool.
Yeah.
Like, the difference is that Alex was taught how to swim, whereas for me, my dad threw me in the pool and said, hold your breath. And this is the first, like I said, this is the first time we were at Alan Laurel's and Alan's not there. And as my brother's telling me and talking to me about this, I started crying on the streets of fucking College Avenue in Oakland, just outside of sushi. I freaked out a couple because I was sort of laying near their car, smoking and just crying. And they were approaching their car, and I'm like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry, guys." And they're like, "No, it's okay. Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fucked up. It's okay." So I'm going to try and see my brother tonight, and
awesome.
And so I wrote a little memorial eulogy that I'm just going to read, and some of it I've already kind of just said just now, but I'm going to try and do it. I posted this on Facebook.
Before you read it, because I don't want to interrupt you, and I think it'd be a good way to end the episode. The last part of that story you just shared just reiterates something that I think we need to work on for our show over the next year, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. We got to get your dad and your brothers on this show. Even if for 5 minutes, just to have the vocal record of those people.
Just to prove that they exist, that I'm not a fucking orphan.
I'm not even getting shitty about it. Like, I'm not even busting balls. I'm talking, one of the things is the why not. The Kevin Smith recorded just to record it, even if he never released it, just to have that vocal record. Do you know what I mean? Even if we never put those episodes out, we record it just so you have it. So you have your brothers and you have your dad. I don't have my dad. I don't have anything of my dad that I can go watch. I have pictures and I have memories, but I don't have anything I can go watch or go listen to.
Well, and I agree, especially, my dad is roughly the same age as Alan.
Yeah.
So shit can happen any day, but that doesn't, the fact that my dad's 82, is more likely to happen as opposed to you and me. I mean, we could get hit by a car, but my dad could just die just because he's 82.
Right. But yeah, I think that's something we need to work on.
Well, if I see my brother Alex tonight, I will fucking be like, dude, get on the podcast. I don't care what you talk about. You can talk about how you used to fuck with me as a little kid. Like, I don't care.
We'll do the Rico's. I don't know what to call it, but anyway, just I'd like you to read your
like
thing.
at 1 year old, you know, that kind of thing.
But I think we need to do that for you. We'll get those records. We'll get that on tape for you. But go ahead, man.
So, and just let's just say our goodbyes now so that we can just end it afterwards, because it's going to end where I'm probably going to choke up and I'm not going to want to say anything else. So thanks for listening to this, guys. I really do appreciate you humoring me and mourning with me.
CJ here with a few thank yous, and I'll let you know how you can get in touch with and follow the show and us. If you want to agree with or yell at us, follow Rico, me, and the show on Twitter. The show is at PodAskew, Rico is at RantsRico, and I'm at M_Blade. Listen to PodAskew on the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else you find podcasts. Please don't forget to rate and comment. We want to thank our logo designer and show friend Mike for his work on our wonderful logo. You can contact him for artwork via email at mpxl.s2art@gmail.com. Again, that's mpxl.s2art@gmail.com. Thank you to Dubbed in English for our opening theme music, 96 Reasons. Thank you to Samuel Lemons for our closing music, Theme Askew. You can find Sam on Twitter at Samuel Lemons, all one word, and his music on SoundCloud at www.soundcloud.com/Samuel-Lemons. Finally, our biggest thank you is to you, everyone, for listening. Rico and I really appreciate your time and look forward to bringing you another episode soon.
To make a prince.
Make me a prince.
All right! Yo, yo, woo, woo, woo.
First, that fez and vest combo is much too 3rd century. These patches, what are we trying to say? Beggar? No, let's work with me here.
Ooh, I like it. Muy macho.
Now, still need something. What does it say to me?
Then what better way to make your grand entrance on the streets of Agrabah than riding your very own brand new camel?
Watch out, they spit.
Damn it.
PodAskew. 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 PodAskew.